Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika Zen. I am Tamika. This is the Oval, y'all, okay? The Oval, all right? Season 3, episode 21, Ugly Politics. Baby, let me tell y'all, this is a mess. This is a complete and utter mess, all right? We started out the episode with Victoria raggedy behind, okay, still performing in the hallway, carrying on, like she's supposed to be so hurt over Jason. And Hunter's basically like, what the hell is wrong with you? What have you done? He's like, they're gonna know. They're gonna know. All they have to do is a daggone autopsy, okay? And she's like, no, they won't. And he's like, what the heck are you talking about? And, how do you know that? And she basically says he jumped off the roof, dumbass. And she's like, we won't ask for one. We knew that there was chances that he wouldn't make it. And he was like, I can't believe this. And she talking about, you never wanted this kid anyway. And he was like, that's not true. And she was like, come on now, you messing up my ability to be sad. And I'm like, this is just sick. It really is. It is absolutely sick. But she's like telling him to shut up and follow her lead. And then the doctor comes out to tell them that he didn't make it. And she talking about some, oh no, 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 please, no, no, no. And dropping on the floor. And the doctor's like, ma'am, Hunter's over it. He actually walks away and leaves her on the floor. And the doctor's looking at him like, you just gonna walk away? Listen, all I have to say in reference to this, Jason was crap, okay? We all know he was crap. We know what he did to Jean and all the foolishness he used to do with creeping in and out of the rooms and all the sick stuff he used to say, the nasty stuff he did with the doctor, the fact of what he did to his grandmother. So I'm not shedding no tears over Jason, but at the same time, the fact that Victoria could just do something like this and just be like, it's not a care in the world. I'm like, no wonder he ended up the way that he was, okay? I don't even know wherever the hell y'all sent the daughter, how the hell she wasn't more crazy than she was, because all of y'all are completely freaking nuts, all right? And so anyway, next we got Barry. Of course, him and Richard, they are still arguing, of course, because Barry's upset that Kareem is in the house, right? And Richard is like letting him know that right now they're in the situation, they need to be there, and Barry is just not understanding. He's telling them if they don't work together, they could all be killed. And he was like, well, why they gotta, be in our house? And he was like, Barry, I know you don't want nobody to be killed. And Barry is like, don't tell me what I want. And Richard is literally going, Barry, please. He was like, once I call up Sam and set everything up, they could go ahead about their business. I just need them to be here with me now so that we can keep them safe. Without going into all the details, he's just trying to let Barry know that he wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't extremely necessary. And so Barry is saying, you want me to be able to be comfortable and go in there and be around somebody that could go ahead and, that basically has something with Sharon, cheating with Sharon, whatever. And so Barry says, okay, fine, I could do that. He's like, I'll do that as soon as you go and be around the person that mommy cheated with and had, her son with. When you do that, then go ahead and, then I'll be able to do it too. And Richard is like, I hear you, I feel you. And he was like, do you? And he was like, yes, I do. But guess what the difference is? This is my house. Okay, you're under my roof. And you got to do things the way I say to do them. Or you got to go ahead and go about your business. And listen, Barry sometimes could be a pain in the daggone behind. I get on him, all right? But in this case, I do kind of see where he's coming from. He has went through a lot. He still don't have his daughter. Y'all barely even bring up his daggone daughter, But he's seeing you helping these other people when he's not getting help for her. And then you had all the drama that he went through with Kareem, going there, seeing Sharon having sex with him at the daggone pharmacy. And you have Richard getting shot because of them fighting. So a lot has went down with Kareem, and Kareem is not my favorite person, to be honest. And I tweeted this. They could have really killed Kareem as far as I'm concerned, but they didn't. And he's here, and this is what the situation is. And even though you may not know the whole story, bits and pieces of what's going on, and your father would not be bringing him here if he absolutely didn't feel like, it was necessary at the end of the day, right? You already knew that Sharon was in some kind of danger. You even said things you saw that was going on with the president. So we're sitting here having this back and forth argument for what? At the end of the day, you already know that Richard is not going to let them go anywhere, and God forbid end up getting hurt now that he's in their care. He's telling you what the plan is. He's telling you what your options are. So, you know what I mean? I don't really think there's much else to discuss. And so, of course, at this point, Richard is over it. And he's like I said, well, this is my house. So you can either do what I need you to do as your father and what I'm telling you, or you could go ahead about your business. You know what I'm saying? Sit down, act like a grown man, deal with it, or go ahead about your business. And so Barry's like, oh, well, what you don't get is I am a grown man and I don't have to be here and I could go somewhere else. And so Richard is like, oh, is that right? And Barry is like, yeah, that's right. With all this attitude, mind you, his face still looked like he a little 5-year-old boy. And so Richard tells him, all right, then, since you grown, go live somewhere else then. And he's like, what you kids nowadays say? Bounce. And that tickled me. I said, no, Richard didn't tell him to bounce. And, and then Barry all sniffling, I will. I'm just going to go back in the house and get my shirt. Richard said, whoa, where you going? Oh, I'm going to get my shirt. He said, no, you're not, because everything that's in my house, you're a grown-ass man. Everything that is in my house, you didn't buy. I bought everything. So what you young folks say, bounce, all right? So that was basically that with Barry and Richard. And he went ahead back in the house, Barry calling after him, and he just kept going. All right. And so then we have, Kareem saying, I'll just go ahead and leave, right? I don't want to cause a whole bunch of nonsense in your house or whatever. This probably wasn't a good idea for me to be here. At this point, Richard is like, no, you here, that's it. Okay, once Richard get his mind set on something, that's it. He was like, you not going nowhere. All right. And so Kareem is like, okay. And so he was like, your life is in danger, so you are going to stay here until, I can help you and I can get y'all all some help. We all are. That's that on that. And so, Sharon basically asking him if he want more food. She's like, they have plenty. And he's just like, no, thank you. And so, Kareem is asking him what's the plan. And he's like, listen, I have a few inside people. I'm working on some stuff. Kareem is like, these are people you could trust. He was like, yep. And he was like, are you sure about that? He was like, absolutely. If I say something, that's what it is. And Sharon is like, he got this. And so Kareem is like, okay. And Richard is like, okay. And so Sharon basically starts apologizing, saying she's sorry for all of this. He tells Sharon this is not her fault. And he was like, well, she says if she never went to the White House, then none of this probably would have ever happened. And they wouldn't be in this situation. And she was like, didn't you come see me with, he said, didn't you come see me with Barry? Because, remember they went there for the tour. And so here go Kareem. Oh, Barry, this is all because of him. And Sharon was, Miss, Lord, we getting these people names confused. Nancy says, don't do that. And then he was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, okay. And so he lets them know that they took him to the top of the Washington Monument, okay, showed him the little window and was like, if we hear anything, if you go and say anything, we will make this look like you came up here on your own and, essentially jumped out the window and took your own life. And so he was like, we can't go to the news with this. We can't tell nobody about this. If we do, then we will we'll be killed. And so Richard is telling him, like, I got y'all. I'm sure that I could do everything possible to help y'all and stuff like that. And, Kareem is like, I'm sorry, but I'm finding that hard to believe. All right. Because, of course, he just looks at Richard like he's, the butler. That's understandable. And so at this point, Richard tells them, like I said, I need to go ahead and speak to Sam. And he's like, as a matter of fact, let me go call him up now. And he gets up to go call Sam. In the meantime that he's trying to call Sam, of course, Sam is over here bleeding on the damn floor. Okay. It looks like maybe the bullet went through on his side. That's where we seeing the blood at, is a bunch of blood all over the floor. You know, you still got Cal shooting at him, basically wasting bullets. You know, he's telling Sam he's not going to be able to get out of there and that his phone is not working. You know, Sam is telling him, look what you did. Because he basically shot the daggone handle off the door. So he's like, we really stuck in here now. You know, there's no way for me or you to get out of here. Like I said, his phone is not working. So Sam is telling him to reach for the phone on the wall so that way he could shoot, you know, him there. And then when Sam is like, stop, you know, still trying to tell him to throw the gun down, telling him he only got one bullet left. You know, he's like, you'll end up shooting me. And Sam was like, Cal was like, you mean shooting you again? And he was like, what? And he was like, shooting you again. And he was like, yeah. And so at this point, they not getting out of here. You know, Sam is bleeding all over the daggone place. And, you know, Cal is just saying if that's what it takes. And he, you know, Sam is telling him, I know you're out of ammo. And, you know, Cal is telling him, you're bleeding everywhere. You better call for help. You're not going to make it. You're going to end up bleeding out. And then he's telling him there's nobody that he can trust. And, you know, Sam is like, I'm good. Don't worry about me. You know, he's still trying to hold his own even though he's down there on the floor. And he's, of course, keep telling him over and over to go ahead and grab the phone. And, you know, so that's when Sam was like, so you could shoot. And he was like, oh, you mean shoot you again? And we just like, Cal, please get out of here. Like, I don't understand why Sam don't shoot his behind up, okay? At this point, you got the gun you took for him and you got your own gun. And like you said, he got one bullet left. Let him get off his little one shot and I would empty both those daggone guns in him, okay? Even if I was going to die, you going to be dying right along with me, all right? But anyway, Sam tells him that's not happening. And, you know, like he ain't going for it and he ain't going back down. He's still telling him to throw his gun in. And he's like, you know, basically they, like I said, just stuck in this room and they still not going to be able to get out. They still not going to have nobody to come and help them. So you really didn't accomplish anything like what you think you accomplished by doing this, right? Because we all know that only the vice president has the code and it changes every 15 minutes and Sam would be the one to have to get the update. So that means Donald, Grip, the president, none of them would be able to get in there. And so we have the second lady coming in telling the vice president that the son died. And he's like, what? And she was like, yes, their son, he died. And he was like, he did? He was like, I didn't hear anything about it. She was like, yeah, it hasn't been broadcast yet. It's not out on the news. It's not public yet, but we know. All right. And he was like, but I thought they said that he was getting better. And she was like, he was, you know, but he goes, then what happened? And she's like, well, the last thing is that she went in the room with him. And so, of course, her husband talking about Simone. And she was like, listen, Eli, I know you're thinking that this woman is, you know, some caring mother. She's not. And he was like, no, I know that. And she was like, okay, so she did it. You know, if she was the last one in the room and all of a sudden he dies when she's coming out, it's obviously that she did it. And he's like, well, just because she's not a caring mother, that's a stretch to say that she's a murderer. I don't know why, Vice President, okay? It's been pretty obvious all this time, but for some reason you want to doubt it when it comes to that. And so she's telling him, look at me, look at me. She's like, look, I know you think about me and you see your kids and you think no woman could be capable of doing something like that. But I'm telling you, I've seen this woman. I've looked at her back, you know, shit crazy eyes. And I see what she's capable of. And she definitely is capable of it. And he's like, I hear you. And she was like, but you don't believe me. And he was like, no, I just don't want to believe, you know what I'm saying, that she would do something like that. And then they like, sorry or whatever. And so he was like, look, if what you're saying is true and what you're telling me, then this president and first lady are murderers and the entire country is in their hands. What do you think, Eli? I mean, obviously, this vice president's wife is the one that's been running everything and the one that got sense, because I'm like, Eli, ain't that what we've been talking about all this time? Ain't that why you trying to take over in the first place? But all of a sudden now you want to act shocked. So he's like, damn it, Sam, where is he? He's like, you know, it's over the time. We need to call him. We need to find out what's going on because he should have been here by now. And I'm like, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, go ahead and call Sam because Y'all doing all this other nonsense, and that's basically the person that I'm most worried about at this point. But they said they're doing the right thing and that they're going to continue with their plans, and they need to get Sam there, and she's asking him if he's good, and he's like, yeah, and she's like, okay, now go make that call. All right. And I'm like, yes, please do make the damn call. All right. Y'all be taking too long to do stuff for me. And so we then have Priscilla basically still telling Alan that she's sorry. He's like, do you believe me? She's like, yes, I do. And he was like, okay, great. So what do we do? And Priscilla basically starts telling him about the meeting with the vice president, how he's the one that's going to be helping them. Once they have this meeting with him, then and he gets the information from them. He's going to go have a meeting with the Senate, and they are going to invoke the 25th Amendment and be able to get, Hunter and Victoria out. All right. And he's like, look, it's going to take more than that. Like, do you not understand how dangerous these people are? And that if anybody is not on their side, if anybody's not loyal to them, if anybody goes against them, they will be dead. Okay. All of us will die. And she going to talk about some, oh, well, not all, some of us might make it out. And he was like, well, I don't care about all. Okay. Let me get more specific. Me, I don't want to die. All right. And she's like, I could understand that. And he was like, you're not getting it. He was like, all of them are crazy. I've sat in dozens of meetings, dozens of calls. Okay. I've overheard all kind of stuff. And, this man is not going down without a fight. He basically thinks he's a dictator. Everything that he's saying, she's saying, I know that. And he basically was like, he stood there and he seen how Ellie was killed right in front of him and stuff like that. And so, basically, she's telling him that he's not gonna die, and he was like, how the heck can you guarantee that? How do you know that? And Priscilla's telling him that that's even more reason why he should join them. And then he basically is like, look, I ain't trying to mess around, lady. All right. And so he was like, no offense, and she was like, none taken. And so then she started talking about, because he was like, well, let me at least think about it. And she was like, no. That's okay. Okay. You ain't got to think about it, because if you saying you going to think about it, then you ain't going to do it. And she was like, let me go ahead and make you some coffee. And he's telling her, no, I don't want no coffee. And he was like, anyway, I don't even think I have any coffee in here. She was like, all right, then let me go make you some tea. She was like, I'm on it. And so she was like, okay, I got it. And, and so she goes in the kitchen to make him some tea. I'm like, really? I don't know, whatever. So, we then have Lily come out and tell Max that now all of a sudden, first she tells Max that he was right. And he was like, right about what? You got to be a little bit more specific. And he was like, him. And he was like, well, he's right about a lot of people. And so he was like, but that ain't, but what exactly, do you mean? And so she says that Bobby is in love with her. He's like, yeah, I know that already. You finally seeing it. He was like, do you also see how dangerous it is? And she says, yes. And so he asked her if she loves him too. And she doesn't answer him. Okay. She starts talking about some, how she got this person that she could go to. She knows it's a secure person. She knows it's somebody that she can trust. He was like, how do you know that? She starts telling him because they never, talked on the phone or text or email or whatever. That is a arrangement they have, that when she goes to the vacation spot, he shows up there and she can meet him there. And I'm like, what person is this? And then when he's like, can you guarantee that Donald doesn't know anything about this? She's like, yes, but how you guaranteeing that, Lily? Because so far Donald knows y'all here at this damn hotel y'all staying at. And you saying you don't make no calls and all of this, but we still don't know who the person was that she called last week or the week before, whenever the heck that was, and basically told the person, I need your help. Who was that? But you all of a sudden saying you got someone you could trust. If you had someone you could trust, why you ain't been go with them? Why you came here with Max and Bobby to the hotel? So I'm looking at Lily with the side eye too. But nonetheless, all of a sudden she's saying she got this big game plan and she want to go ahead and leave and I guess go to meet this person. And Max told her like, well, you still didn't answer my question in reference to whether you love him or not. And she still skipped over that, you know. And then at one point, he's telling her to be quiet because he could hear the change in the water. And he kept saying to her that that Bobby was about to come out the shower. And she was like, oh no, the water's still running. And he was like, no, give it a minute. No sooner than he say that, Bobby come acting like if he's looking for something, and he got on a shirt and a towel around him. And then he go back in, and she was like, how did you know that? And he was like, I could hear the difference in the water pressure. And she basically was saying she didn't hear no difference. And so he was saying, you know, she keeps asking him once he goes back in, she's like, will he help him? You know, will he help her rather? And, you know, he says that this will definitely crush Bobby. And she says she knows that it will. She was like, then don't tell him. And he was like, I'm not, but you are. Okay. And he was like, you have to tell him, because if not, he's not gonna want to let it go. He'll be hunting you down. He'll be looking everywhere and blaming himself and all this other kind of stuff. So you have to let him know that you basically have decided to go ahead with your life and you found a safe haven and stuff like that. And so she says that she will, you know. And then he also tells her that when he comes out the shower to have a conversation with her, that he's going to play it off like he already knows, you know, what conversation that they had already. She was like, you know, he tells her just let him lead and tell her whatever he thinks that was said, that more than likely he's going to play it off and make it seem like Max called him and told him something, but he didn't. You know, essentially he's going to be fishing for stuff. All right. And he says that he has to make a quick run and wait till he gets back before she says anything. And so she basically is like, okay. We then had, you know, Mr. Grip come to Donald house. And he's telling him, you know, now we can't get in, we can't get out. We seen Sam go down. He never came back up. And again, I don't understand why people were acting shocked. They knew that Sam was the only one with the codes. They knew that they would both be stuck down there. But for some reason, they acting like they shocked when they finding out about this, you know. Donald was saying he still needs somebody to take care of his wife. He was like, no, Grip is good for certain things, but he's not good for that, because Grip was telling him like, you know, I'm your man. Grip is so thirsty to be down and want to do whatever Donald and all of them tell him to do. He just get me so freaking sick. And so at one point, Donald acts like he's upset that Kyle is still down there or whatever. And he's like, wow, there's no other way we could get down there. And the president doesn't have the code either. And he's telling him no. But on the other hand, you got, you know, Donald saying, well, leave them down there for a while and let him learn a lesson, and laughing about it or whatever the case may be. And, you know, he's saying to him that that Grip is like a hammer and he needs somebody that's like a scalpel, and, you know, somebody that could be nice and smooth. Okay. So that's why, Cal can be both, but he can only be the hammer. So that's why he needs, you know, Cal to handle the situation with his wife. And Grip talking about, I'm sorry. And then, you know, Donald telling him, that's okay, that's good. You know, you still could be used, but you just can't be used when it comes to that. And he was like, you know, she thinks nobody can touch her. And that's the part that's really pissing me off. And so anyway, that's when he says, so we definitely have to get Kyle out of there. But he was like also saying, well, maybe it's a good thing that they are both stuck in there, you know. And he was saying that's if he's okay. And then Grip was saying, I'm sure he is, sir. And he said, well, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if they killed each other either down there, right? And so Grip just looks like anything that Donald say, he would freaking go along with it and agree with it. It don't matter what the hell it is, all right? And so that's when he basically was saying, teach him a lesson. And so Grip is like, yes, sir. And he was like, now I need something from you. He was like, I need you to go ahead over, you know, because my assistant basically went into my office and moved some papers around. And he thinks I don't know, you know, the fool boy that he is. He thinks that I wouldn't notice anything. And I need you to go ahead and, if I call, I'll call you if I need you. And so Grip lets him know that he'll be at the White House. So basically with that, he's talking about the time that we seen Alan going in there and touching around stuff in his desk. And I was always wondering if that was going to come back up. What exactly was he touching when he went in there? Okay, that was before he went into the Oval with Hunter, after he had basically stole the daggone well, not stole, but tried to bring the gun in that he had from Alonzo into the White House, right? And went and seen Hunter and all of that. There was a part where we seen that he went inside of Donald's office, but we didn't know exactly what he was in there doing. So apparently Donald knows about that too, right? And so Bobby came out the shower finally. He's talking to Lily. At first he's trying to act like he already knew the conversation, just like what Max said. At one point she brings up something about being pregnant because she was like, why don't you tell me? Why don't you go first? And he's acting like Max called him and told him everything. So when she says about the pregnancy, he's like, yeah, that's what I was going to say. How many months? And she's like, I'm not pregnant. That's not what I said to him. And if you want to ask me something, then just go ahead and ask. But don't play mind games with me. This is what makes me feel like I can't trust you. Basically she starts to flip it on him. Starts saying that he better not ever try that again. He keeps apologizing to her over and over. She was like, I don't like that bullshit. And he was like, you're right. She was like, the little bit of trust I had, you making it fade away. And I don't know. This just seems like Lily all of a sudden is flipping and trying to flip things on him and blame him for stuff. And I feel like she playing just as much of a damn mind game and she's saying he playing with her. So it is what it is. And so she's basically like, over it, and he keeps calling her name and she goes walking away and he telling her, I'm sorry, baby. At this point, Max finally gets the call from the VP, or he finally calls the VP, and the VP is saying he was just about to call him. And Max tells him, there's a problem. We need to go in, okay? We have not heard from Sam. It's been far too long. And the VP, like I said, says that he was about to tell him the same thing. He says, yes, he will make arrangements for them to go in. They have to use this entrance. He's going to send them all the information and let them know what they have to do, because they're going to have to go in through his bunker, through the Eisenhower building. And, he's going to tell him everything. And so Max says, okay, great. And he was like, I'm going to send you the codes and they're going to be scrambled. And you need to go ahead and take, Max with you, that they're going to have to go through the garage and go through this blue tunnel. And, he wants a play-by-play of everything that happens. And so Max says, okay. Of course, as soon as he gets off the phone with him, he go ahead and calls, Bobby and tells him, listen, we got to go. We need to move now. Bobby asked him where he's at. And he was like, I'm waiting outside for you. And he was like, okay, I'm on my way. When the VP wife comes in, he tells her, okay, well, we're going to have to send in Max and Bobby. We have no choice because nobody has still heard from Sam. All right. And I'm like, about damn time. I wish y'all would come on. Y'all playing games and leaving my boy Sam down there too long. All right. And I'm not feeling it. So in the meantime, Richard and all of them finished dinner. They getting up. Excuse me, y'all. They getting up, clearing the dinner table. At first, Sharon trying to find different ways to help them. And they like, no, we got it, girl. Sit your behind down. And Kareem basically tells Sharon like, oh, they want to talk about us or whatever the case may be. And then she was pretty much like, yeah, Dale is saying how this is the most excitement he has had since he left home. And Kareem was like, well, you saying it like you enjoying yourself and this is a good time. And Dale was like, no, okay, I hated every minute of it, but it definitely has been a lot. All right. And so you got Victoria and Hunter getting back home from the White House, and she's still trying to act like she all out of it or whatever. And at the point when they get upstairs in the house, Hunter basically throws her down on the couch and she's like, you son of a bitch. And he was like, speaking of the woman that just killed her son. And he was like, he asked her if she's even bothered at all. And she's kind of like, why should I be? Okay, what the heck am I going to be bothered for? Like, it is what it is. All right. And she was like, I didn't kill him. I just helped him along. He basically killed himself once he jumped off the roof. All right. He got what he wanted. And I'm like, again, you know, Victoria is just Victoria at this point. All right. So we have Donald pop up at, you know, Alan's house. Alan is like, you know, saying who through the door. And Donald's like, open the door, open the door. So he opens the door and he let him in. And, you know, basically Donald was coming near just fishing. You know, he wants to know like what he was saying to Grip. You know, what was he doing? What was he inside his office for? He's telling him that he's not convinced that he's on his side, and that, you know, if he finds out that he's not on his side and that he can't trust him, he will kill him. Okay. And of course, Alan is like, I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir. You know, he's telling him he had got a visitor. I don't know who this visitor was. Alan is asking him like, oh, well, who was this? You know, who was the visitor? And he asked him what he was doing in his office. And he asked him if he took any photos. And Alan was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I basically just went in there because sometimes I go in there to straighten up. He's like, oh, well, I hope, you know, you're not lying to me. He's like, no, of course not, sir. You know, I would never do that. I would never do that. And so Donald's like, do you have company here? And he's talking about, no, he don't have no company. He was like, really? That's interesting. So whose purse is this here? And he was like, that's one of Ellie's purses. He was like, you want to look through it? He basically gives it to Donald. Donald at first is acting like he was going to go in the purse. And he was like, so if I look in this purse, I'm going to see all of Ellie's stuff in here. And he was like, yeah, you know, I guess so. You should. I don't know exactly what's in it. And I was kind of nervous on this one, like, oh, God. And then you see him, Priscilla, you know, hiding on the side by the wall. And so he was like, nah, I'm not going to go through it or whatever, and basically gives it back to him. And then the tea kettle starts going off. So he like, oh, you want me to get that? And Alan is like, nah, I got it. You know, I'm making me some tea because it'd be hard for me to sleep, and that puts me to sleep. And so Donald took him out, well, nighty night, you know, sweet dreams. And so, you know, he leaves. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. He left, right? Man, Donald get downstairs in the daggone garage, and who down there waiting for him but Grip? And he gonna say to Grip, she's in the kitchen, kill them both. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Listen, I want Grip to die. I want Cal to die. Donald could die, but I doubt he is gonna die. I need some of them to go down, okay? They are not killing enough of the right people for me, all right? But anyway, y'all, what did y'all think about this episode? You know, put it all in the comments. If I missed anything, put that in the comments. And, you know, let's discuss. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Till next time. Toodaloo.